Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And welcome into a Saturday edition of the Computer America Show. We're really excited. Got a great program planned for you because if you like computer games, then this is the episode of Computer America for you. There you go. Everybody loves it. So we've got everything you want to know about games, and we're going to focus specifically on the Consumer Electronics Show because a lot of games and gaming software, gaming hardware was introduced at the Consumer Electronics Show, which we're just right around the corner from E3. And that's also the big gaming exposition. We're going to talk about gaming on your computer, on set-top boxes like the Xbox, the PlayStation, talk about what's new, what's coming up, what's literally around the corner, handhelds, all the cool technology that makes gaming fun. Okay, now, joining us on today's show is Grayson Hamilton. Gray is currently a graduate student of journalism at the University of Texas at Austin. He intends to pursue a career in video game journalism. He's an experienced game enthusiast, boy is he ever, and author who will give us his viewpoints when it comes to computer and set-top games. Now, Gray is now officially Computer America's gamer correspondent. Gray, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
Howdy, I'm doing fantastic, Craig. Ben, thanks again for having me.
Yeah, it's a beautiful Saturday afternoon. The sun is out, it's shining, it's in the 50s here. I don't know how it is where you are, but the weather is gorgeous here, and a perfect day for staying indoors and playing computer games.
Every day is the perfect day for video games.
Ben would agree with you.
Well, that's the great thing about video games being indoors. If it's sunny and nice and pleasant out, perfect day for video games. If it's rainy, stormy, cloudy, perfect day for video games. It doesn't matter what's outside because we invented this beautiful thing called inside.
Yes, and connected, completely connected. So we are right now. Now, as I mentioned, I mentioned before, but I need to mention on today's show. We have a new thing that we've kind of implemented. This was Ben's idea, and I'm very glad to say that it's working successfully. Every time we have a correspondent such as Grayson on the show with us, usually Grayson gives us what we like to call cheat notes. These are actual notes on what we're going to be speaking about. And sometimes there are links in there, sometimes there are pictures, sometimes they're not. But the point is it's sort of like the outline of what we're going to be talking. And if you want to see that outline, we've made that possible for you, our listeners, to see what we're looking at. Now, the way to do that, it's real simple. You go to ComputerAmerica.com, and right there under our archives pull-down menu, you'll see it says Show Notes. And it'll take you to a screen that says the new show notes. We're going to change that, by the way. I'm going to try to change that for next week. But you just go to the new show notes, click on that, and you'll see the show notes about Grayson being on here, what have you. But also there's a little link at the bottom of that, and you click on that, and you don't have to download it. You'll see it right there in your browser. You will see the actual notes that Ben, myself, and Grayson are looking at as we do the show. So you can kind of follow along with us, see what we're talking about, and I think it'll make for a more pleasant listening experience. And so, again, thanks to Ben for making that happen. And so just head over there and get them in front of you, and we're going to get started. And as I said, we're going to start with CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. When we did this show during our weekday program, we figured, we'd breeze through that. Boy, it took us both hours, and we had still things to talk about. But if we do have time, and I anticipate that we will, we'll also go into the the next topic, which is looking ahead, what the big games for 2013 are going to be, the titles, and what Grayson thinks is going to be the big headlining games for the new year. So we're going to be talking about that as well. Okay, so if nothing else, we're going to start off with the Consumer Electronics Show, CES 2013. We were out there a week and a half ago. Tuesday, we did a show live from there. We were actually up on the Showstopper stage. We had our own Computer America booth out there. We had David Perry from On Labs and our other correspondent. He's a correspondent, and our other correspondent, Sandy Berger, who's our consumer electronics expert, both there. You can actually see the pictures. If you go to our photo page at computeramerica.com, you can see pictures of Sandy and David out at the Consumer Electronics Show up on stage in front of our big, Computer America back screen. That's not Photoshop. That's the actual screen that was up there. And you can see some of the guests that we interviewed. We interviewed like about 9 guests. But we did not focus on games because we knew Grayson was going to be kind of talking about that on our gamer show. So that's what we're going to do. So starting off with consumer electronics, I think the first big news here on the list is NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA, of course, makes graphics cards, and they make state-of-the-art graphics cards. And they debuted a brand new processor, the Tegra 4. What makes this so special, Gray?
Well, and you're definitely right. NVIDIA is one of the big. They're one of the big chip makers out there, right up there with AMD and Intel. Mm-hmm. So it's always kind of a big now. It's a big thing when they start talking about their next generation of chipsets, because they're usually a good benchmark for the video game industry, because you can see where the next level is going to be. So when they launched the Tegra 4 processor, it was going to be a huge announcement, which is definitely why they chose CES as the best platform to do it.
Sure.
But the Tegra 4 is, to put it mildly, is pretty impressive. The Tegra 3, which is their current generation, has about 12 cores, and now a core, of course, is being basically a small, a little miniature processor within it that is able to handle, hundreds of thousands of processes every second.
These are GPUs, right?
GPUs, exactly.
Graphical processing units. Okay. Uh-huh.
Exactly, and that's kind of how a lot of how modern PC technology has gone. Is we can't make cores smaller and smaller, so parallel processing has naturally become how to make things more powerful. So we can't make the cores more powerful, just make more cores and interlace them all together.
Right, and of course, when you have an NVIDIA graphics card, let's say in your computer, the nice thing about that is that it takes the processing load off of the CPU. So the CPU, the central processing unit, can do other things that it needs to do, housekeeping, file management, all the other things, and then when it needs graphics, the GPU, which is on the NVIDIA, takes over or just does its thing parallel along with the CPU. So basically, you can do a lot more impressive graphics because you're not bogging down your central processing unit. The GPU is what's doing the graphics unit.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's obvious. So obviously, more cores is better. However, with the Tegra 4, they've jumped from 12 cores, which is in the Tegra 3 processors, up to 72.
Holy mackerel!
72 cores in the Tegra 4, making it 6 times more powerful than the generation before it. So it's huge jump in processing power.
Wow! From 12 to 72. That's amazing.
I didn't actually think there could be that many in a single chip.
I thought that was a typo.
Yeah, no, same here. But it's 72, and it's massive. Uh-huh. And what helps, or the good way to look at it in terms of people say, well, how is this big for video games? Is this is the first next generation, true next generation processing chip. So from these specifications in the Tegra 4, we can actually start to get a really good feel for what the next generation video gaming consoles are going to have in it. It's not to say that the Tegra 4 will be in the next PlayStation or the next Xbox, mm-hmm. but it's definitely a good indicator of saying this is the kind of processing power that will be in the next generation of gaming. And so with a game that is based upon, it's developed with a Tegra 4, we can already see this is going to be incredibly powerful machines doing some really impressive stuff with video games. It already looks great enough on current current consoles, Halo 4, Far Cry 3, The Last of Us. These games, they look great already. But the idea of this huge jump, kind of like how we went from the PlayStation 2 to the PlayStation 3, it's astounding. The kind of the high definition resolution, the dynamic range. There's going to be some really incredible things that game developers are going to be able to do with this kind of processing power. Now,
are we going to see this card also in the PC on the PC as well, on an NVIDIA graphics card?
Oh, absolutely. I think their next line of graphics cards are going to be based around this. Now, of course, that means you're going to need some really impressive PC to run such a advanced card, and it'll definitely probably be a premium to pay for at first, as all computer technology is.
Sure.
But once it becomes readily available, the PCs are going to explode, as they always do with every next generation. This is, I don't want to say this was the announcement at CES, but this was definitely one of the big showstoppers. This is where a lot of computer companies were really chomping at the bits for, was to see what NVIDIA was going to come out with. And this chip is, I'd just like to say, high definition all the way. Arguably 10 times faster than the iPhone 5.
Yeah.
That isn't even 3-4 months old, and they've already put that to shame. It's astounding, and I can't, as I keep saying, I can't get past the word astounding.
By the way, if you want to call us, you have some comments or suggestions or questions for Ben, myself, or Gray, we welcome your phone calls. The number to call, it's right there on the screen that you're looking at if you're listening to us live. It's 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. That number will get you on, get you through. We also have email, live, Live, at computeramerica.com. If you're radio shy but you still have a question for us, that's a great way for you to get your question or comment or suggestion to us at live at computeramerica.com. You can also join us at our live interactive Blog Talk Radio chat room. Right there from our page that you're listening to, you'll see the chat room. You can just enter in right away. The only thing is that unless you are registered with Blog Talk Radio, you can only read. You can't type. If you want to actually type something, you have to subscribe to the Blog Talk Radio. But it's free. It's completely free. You can enter that way, or you can enter through your Facebook account. If you have Facebook, you can enter into the chat room through your Facebook account, and then you can give yourself a name other than guest, and you'll be able to type things to us as well. One other thing, if you want to, you can also Skype us. Our Skype address is one word, Computer America, but I strongly suggest the best and easiest way is to call us at 347-884-8881. That'll get you on and get you through. So Grayson and Ben and I are talking about NVIDIA's new debut at the Consumer Electronics Show, the Tegra 4 processor, 6 times the power of the current Tegra 3, 72 custom GPU cores, the first next-gen processor to be confirmed. Again, I don't see it. And this is amazing.
Too bad it doesn't say how fast the processor or the graphics card actually is.
They may not actually want to. I guess there probably is a reason for that too, because I was kind of thinking the same thing, Ben. I think once they start to actually solidify, the actual architecture, I think then they'll start giving out specifications like that, and not just like normal, but also overclocking and precisely like how much you can push the Tegra 4.
Yeah, I think you need at least 2 canisters of liquid nitrogen attached to this.
Seriously. That or 4 or 5 fans.
Exactly.
It's going to need some cooling, but the only problem I see with this is since it has 72 cores, most applications on your computer, pre-2012, 2011, could only run on 3 cores, maybe 4 or 5. Nowadays, they're getting better. They can, develop stuff that can run on, 6, 7 cores. But having 72 cores, that's going to take. I'm not saying that that people can't use that, and and multitasking is going to be beautiful on the new Xbox. But for game developers to actually develop applications that can actually harness a fraction of these 72 possible cores, that's going to take a while for them to get accustomed to. It always takes game developers a while to get accustomed to a new console and really, just look at Halo 4 compared to Halo 2. It takes them a while for them to really get down the hardware, but 72 cores, that is a lot to tackle.
Well, let me ask you this. Are you saying, is Ben right, in other words, saying that unless the game is written specifically for 72 cores that you're going to see no bump in speed, or will you see something, even though does the game specifically have to be written to take advantage of this card?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Like when you transfer generations, when you make that jump, there's always going to be a set increase, whether it's graphics, processing power, how great the game runs. There's always going to be an increase. And that's natural. But Ben's definitely right in the aspect that when you create this kind of architecture that requires, that you've got, like you said, we're going from systems with 5-6 cores now up to a 72 core unit. It's definitely, you have to give game developers time, not even develop a game, but they actually have to play with that hardware. They have to figure out how to best utilize it. And once they get a good feel for it, then they can start to actually say, okay, so now that we have an idea of how we can best utilize this technology, now we need to start working on a game that can utilize it just as well. And so that always takes usually about 2 to 3 years. And so once a console debuts, and this is not just the 360, this is the PS3, it's PS2, you can, almost any, I think, system, you can go back, when you look at the launch lineup, it's always usually small, it's not too big, and the games themselves aren't usually too impressive. I mean, they're fun to play, and the graphics are obviously better, but you feel like there's a lot to be desired, and it's not the game developer's fault, it's just they don't have as much time to create, to best utilize technology. Now, 2-3 years down the road, that's when the system really starts to hit its stride, because now the developers have played with the architecture for a long time. They know how it works, and then so that when you give them that extra time, that's when you start seeing some amazing video games. Like when you look at, when God of War 3 came out a couple years after the PS3 had come out, it was mind-blowing how just the huge jump was, and it took some time to get there, but they did. And like Ben said, you look at Halo 3, which was on the 360, and that came out, I think it was back in 2008, I want to say.
Yeah,
Ben, is that right? And it was, it blew the water off, it blew Halo 2 out of the water. And then now we fast forward to, 2012, Halo 4 comes out, the very same system, and the difference is staggering. Like the cinematics were, dare I say, almost real. The performance was beautiful. It was 60 frames per second. There was no lag time. It represented the true mastery of the 360. And this is, of course, the 7th year that the 360's been out. So it takes time, but when developers get there, that's when you see truly amazing video games. So it may take, and I completely agree that it will take time for those kind of video games to show up, whether it's a PlayStation 4 or the Xbox 720. But I know they'll get there. But you're definitely right. It's going to take time for them to figure out how a 72 core graphics card is going to be able to work with them. Hardware
always precedes software. In other words, it's always easier to develop the new hardware, and then they have to write the software to support that hardware. And that's always been the case from day one. From computers, it's always been that way. But it's becoming even more evident as with all this new power that we continue to see. But as you say, the current games will run very nicely on a 72-core system. We might see a little bit of a bump. But as you say, it takes 2, 3, 4 years to develop the software. But my gosh, from 12 cores to 72 cores, that future generation game running on the 72 cores is going to, we're going to probably...
Well, even though, like right now, it has 12 cores, you aren't using all 12 of those cores on your game. That game that you're running, it's probably only using probably about 6. the other 6 are allocated to things like the Xbox interface, the chat system. All the other cores are allocated to other things.
Right.
That's why I said that multitasking is going to be fantastic because they can run so many more processes just by having 72 cores available.
Yeah, exactly. So all 72 won't go to graphics. It's not,
no, you're not going to run a game. It's like, oh yeah, this game runs on 72. No, maybe if you're lucky, it'll run on 12. And I haven't really heard of a program to date that runs on 12 cores. Mm-hmm. But if they get games to run on 12, then they have like an extra 60 to do some kind of interface with. They can do the Kinect, they can do this, they can do that. They can run everything else and make it run very, very smoothly.
It's going to be spectacular when they.
Yep.
So we're looking about another 3 years, you think, before we really see?
Well, no, they're going to be able to take advantage of this, the year it comes out. Oh. It's just the games are going to be not that good, but everything that runs on the Xbox will be really, really smooth.
Right. Gray, you agree with everything Ben's saying?
Yeah, I mean he's definitely right. It's the game is, like you said, it's software, and when you run on the PlayStation 4, the new Xbox, even the new Nintendo Wii U, they're very complicated machines, and they have a lot of things running at the same time. So it's not just the interface; it's running your online matchmaking. It's running the performance issues, making sure that the engine's running smoothly, cutting down on lag. So there are tons of processes that the system's going to have to handle simultaneously. But like you said, the big thing now is instead of having one core to do each of those, they're going to have this ability to do multiple cores running multiple systems, which means all of those systems will naturally become, they'll increase in power as well. So when I think a good example would be, when you do multiplayer on Halo 4, right now, you can handle 16-player, 32-player. With this increase in power, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see those kind of multiplayers go up to 64 to 128. You can get these giant games with all of these, things happening, thousands of things happening per second that your system will be able to handle without breaking a sweat.
Wow. Well, and it's not that far away. A couple of years, 2-3 years.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I know neither company, Microsoft or Sony, have announced dates for. They haven't even announced their console, so I don't think we'll be seeing a PlayStation 4 until well into 2014. Mm-hmm. There are analysts that say Microsoft needs to introduce their console this year if they want to get a legitimate jump on Sony. But I don't. At this point, I feel like we would have at least heard of a debut so that they could launch by this year. But since we haven't heard announcements, I don't foresee there being consoles on this market by this year. If best case scenario is we may see them by this Christmas in very limited stock, but that's I think is a stretch.
How confident are you that any or all of these consoles that you mentioned from all these different companies are going to have the Tegra 4 processor?
I am fairly confident that at least one of them will. I couldn't tell you which one. I know NVIDIA tends to be in more Sony systems than in more Microsoft systems than Sony, which stands to reason. I mean, they do better work with Microsoft, being that Microsoft is a PC company. Mm-hmm. But will they be in the systems for certain? We won't know until they say so. So if it's not the Tegra 4, I guarantee you it'll be something very close, similarly as powerful.
What else is out there other than the NVIDIA graphics?
AMD, I'm sure will. It's whenever one graphics card, be it NVIDIA, leapfrog over AMD, AMD will come back and leapfrog over NVIDIA, and it just keeps going back and forth.
Well, it used to be ATI, but ATI, it was NVIDIA.
AMD and ATI, or AMD bought ATI, so now they're the same company.
Okay. So they're playing the leapfrog game now, because AMD still makes the CPUs, the processors as well. They compete with Intel.
I was going to say, Intel is also a big chip maker, and actually Intel has done a lot of work with both Sony and Nintendo, actually. So they will definitely have a hand in crafting the final version of whatever processor runs the PlayStation 4 and the Microsoft.
Okay, all right. All right, so there you go. The Tegra 4 processor, 6 times the power, 72 custom GPU cores, introduced at CES, kind of blew the socks off of everybody. We want to move to the next. Anything else you want to mention about the Tegra 4 before we move to the next topic?
Just that it is going to be in the next big announcement. Actually, we can segue right in the next part.
Right.
The Tegra 4 was already a big announcement, and then what followed was something a lot of people didn't expect, and it's what they announced as, it doesn't have a final name. Its code name is Project Shield. Now, Project Shield is it's a handheld video game system from NVIDIA.
Huh.
They are actually jumping into the handheld video game market. So it's a very odd thing. It's very odd to look at. So what it is it's a handheld gaming system. It's got dual analog sticks. It looks a lot like an Xbox controller. Attached to it is a 5-inch 720 progressive HD screen, and the key to the handheld device is that it can sync up with your PC so that you can actually stream games wirelessly directly onto the system when you're at home, and allegedly with no latency issues.
Well,
so if you hook this up to your Steam account, for example, you could instantly start playing any of your Steam games HD wherever you want in your house.
I know of nothing else like this either. I mean, I can't think of anything that does what this is. This is obviously a whole new category for this type of device.
It's definitely got it's a jump on the Nintendo 3DS, the PlayStation Vita. And the thing is, it came out of nowhere because of all people to create a mobile, a handheld device. It was interesting all of a sudden to see that people are kind of asking themselves, NVIDIA is doing this? They're jumping into video games, like, specifically? Mm-hmm. It was very impressive. Now, what makes the Project Shield a tour de force is this is a handheld device, and it's running the Tegra 4 processor. So the chip they just announced is going to be in this handheld device. So it's an incredible amount of power, and it's not in a PC. It's in your hand. This thing runs this entire system. That's a lot of power to be putting literally in your hands, and you can take it on the go.
Yeah, it looks like describe it. Looks a little bit like a Sony, an Xbox game controller, but it has a color screen on it. It flips up, so you actually have a screen on this as well. Correct?
Yes, it's a multi-touch display as well. So it's not only a controller, but the screen itself is also touch sensitive, just like your iPhone, your Android devices. So it's got some incredible amount of potential behind this. It also, now on the back it has an HDMI port, a USB 3.0 port as well. So you have the ability, if you want to, you can actually connect this when you're at home to your big screen TV and stream your games directly onto the big screen. So this makes PC gaming go from your monitor to your home television set. So even bigger integration, potential behind this that they're trying to go for, and I definitely want to say this can definitely go somewhere, specifically, for the PC market, for those who haven't already started hooking up their PCs to your HD TV, to your smart TV. There's becoming more and more synergy between these devices, and this is just another way to do it.
Well, the HDMI port is the ultimate way of getting video and audio to another device, and I don't think you can call that streaming. That's really not. You're just connecting it. In other words, it's a.
Well, you're streaming it from your computer to the handheld console, which then you're feeding the signal to your TV. So you're still streaming it.
Well, yeah, right. But you can connect the audio and video directly to your TV via the HDMI port. And
that's just switching the displays from the little 5-inch screen to your big 32 or what have you TV.
And with the Tegra 4, I guess that's where that's going to have the horsepower to handle the streaming ability, because streaming you can always get lag from streaming, right? So how do we know that it's going to be able to do it? I think they had one demonstrating out at CES, and they said when it was working properly that the streaming worked very, very nicely.
latency is always going to be an issue, and that's something that even if they want to say there's going to be no latency, we're going to have to wait and see. But with a processor like this, I think they might be able to pull it off.
All right.
Very nice, and and we're definitely going to talk more about the NVIDIA Shield when we come back. Music means we have to take a break. We'll be right back here on the Blog Talk Radio Network. We'll be right back.
This is Computer America. Stay with us.
Attention parents and grandparents of young children. Gerber Life is accepting applications for their affordable grow-up plan. It's easy to help your child get off to a good financial start for just pennies a day. Free information will be sent to parents and grandparents who call now. Or you can apply right now over the phone if you'd like. The grow-up plan gives your child $10,000 in whole life insurance protection now, then doubles automatically to $20,000 later at no extra cost. Later on, your child can buy more, up to $100,000 in total protection, regardless of their health or job, 10 times the original amount. The Grow Up Plan also builds cash value over time that you can borrow from later. Help give your child a head start for just pennies a day. Don't wait. Call now for free information.
For free information or to apply over the phone, call 1-800-919-4882. That's 1-800-919-4882. 1-800-919-4882.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. Their mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy? Hello, Computer America. This is Patricia Reichel with your London Minute. As pepper spray is illegal in the UK, I wondered about smartphone safety apps. Can they help us at all? The iOS app Safe Journey claims to keep you safe whilst you're on the move. I asked my friend Tony to try it out. As her designated friend, I received updates she was safe. I saw her route on a map, and I got an email to say she had reached her destination. For the man mugging you scenario, there's an Android app called SOS Whistle. Or an app called My Panic Alarm for iOS and Android. Another good one is Attack Alarm for the BlackBerry and iPhone users. Once set up, it can send a pre-written text to a chosen friend saying you're being attacked, and it gives you your location. You just have to press a big red button. These apps give me some comfort. But sorry, app makers, if I'm faced with a crazy bear, dog or human, I want good old-fashioned pepper spray in my sweaty hands. Do follow me on Twitter at Computer Tweety. This is Patricia Reichel for Computer America.
And welcome back to the show. As Patricia Reichel said, this is Computer America. We're joined by Grayson Hamilton, and we're just getting into the NVIDIA Shield, which is NVIDIA's first foray into not I won't say hardware, but into the game hardware market. And it kind of, I don't want to say it surprised a lot of people, but I know it at least confused me. When they said they were coming out with a handheld console, because they've been making graphics cards for PCs and for consoles for the longest time, and for them to come out and if they were going to come out into a market, I would have said, oh, they're going to make their own kind of all for one gaming PC, or they're going to make their own game console. But for them to come out in the very, very competitive handheld market, that surprised me. And my question to you, Grayson, is: do you think they'll be able to make it?
Oh, I think it has huge amounts of potential, just like I think a lot of handhelds do. I mean, the Vita had potential, the 3DS had potential. Now, I think what difference between the 3DS, the Vita, and the Project Shield is the idea that what we're looking at here is, the 3DS and the Vita, they have limitations to how much power they can put into it. You have to develop games around the 3DS and the Vita. This handheld doesn't have that limitations. I mean, it has the Tegra 4, but you don't design a video game around this handheld. You can design the game that you want on a standard PC, on a standard console, and this handheld can still run it without any problems, allegedly. So I think the idea is it takes away those limitations that developers have while still giving them the next generation abilities, and not only that, but with the bonus of this is also literally a handheld device. You don't have to be in your home to play it. You can take this and go wherever you want. I think that it gives them a definite edge over Sony and Nintendo, and if Microsoft ever does a handheld. But obviously, the handheld market is not. It's even more competitive because of the iPhone and the revolution of the apps. Like the mobile gaming has become a lot simpler and has become tied to your phone more than a handheld device. And that's been and since the iPhones and the Android devices have come out, that's been a big hit against handheld gaming, and that's still something that they're going to have to face. So it's interesting because it is next gen gaming and it is handheld, but at the same time it's neither one. So it's in this odd nebula where there's definite potential, but it's in such a competitive market. It still has challenges, and they're still really going to have to they're going to have to push it, and they're going to have to market it really, really effectively if they want this to gain ground with next gen gamers.
The only thing I think it has going for it is it won't have console specific games. And when I say that, and you may think, why is that good for it? It's because you're going to be able to stream anything from the Steam community, which are full-blown, computer games, and you're going to be able to stream those to your handheld device. So, they aren't going to have to go out and find, game developers who are going to, develop games just for that console. They're already going to have a huge library full of games that they already know people love to play.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to go to a licensed developer to say, we want you to create a game that this handheld can run. They don't have to do any of that. It can just be, we really like, Far Cry 3, and we want to be able to play it wherever we go. This handheld can do that, and it can do it very well.
In the chat room, they were asking if there's any kind of announced price for Shield, and I think it's too early to announce a kind of price for this thing yet.
Yeah, people were allowed hands-on, and there were some very impressive things. People walked away from it. Mm-hmm. At this juncture, because they're still they're still fine-tuning everything. They were still hesitant on giving a release date or a price. But for something like this, and remember, it does have the Tegra 4, the brand new processor, I don't foresee this being near the price of a Vita or a 3DS. I don't think this is going to be a $150, dollar price tag, at least right out of the market. I think this will be somewhere upwards of $200, $250, and that's being conservative. But obviously, with time, we'll see where that ends up.
Okay. Yeah, they asked in the chat room, and I said I didn't think that it was too early to announce a price for this. I mean, they haven't named it yet. It's still Project Shield, so which is the developer name. Also in the chat room wants to know when the Steam box will come out. So.
Well, we're going to get to. It's not exactly the Steam box, but we're going to talk about the Xi3 Piston later on in the show, and that has some ties to the alleged Steam box. It's got some good ties to Valve as well, so we'll talk about that in a little while. Okay. But to make a short, I guess to keep an answer short, I don't think the Steam box will be hitting at least until the summer, maybe even later.
All right. So we're finishing up with the Project Shield from NVIDIA. It surprised everybody. Came out with this handheld device, Tegra 4 processor, 5-inch 720p screen, HDMI port availability to stream games from your PC, including Steam titles, and it was showed out at CES. It had some problems, but still everybody was quite excited about this product. It's still in development. Gray guesses another 6 months before we see anything like this hitting.
I would say so. I think the summer would be a perfect time for this device to hit. Okay. If not summer, then definitely the holiday push.
Okay. All right, moving right along then to the next thing. Razer, very well known in the gaming community. I know Ben loves their mice. He had a Razer mouse.
I love their keyboards. I love their mice. I love their gamepads. I love their laptops. Okay. I love everything they do.
There you go. Unsolicited testimonial right there. Ben is a huge Razer fan. And they were out at the Consumer Electronics Show, and they introduced something called the Edge.
The Razer Edge, yes. So as we all know, tablets.
With apologies to William Somerset Mom, and not the Razer's Edge. This is Razer Edge. Okay. All right.
It's So I mean, and we talked about tablets a couple months ago when we were talking about what kind of video games would be, or what kind of tablet is best for gamers if they're looking for that, because tablets are, I mean, they're the new thing, it's whether it's your iPad or your Asus, your Microsoft Surface, they're all companies coming out with tablets, and so it was one of those we were talking about, which ones should be good for video games, how would you, which one's best price, which one gives you the best graphics. Well, it seemed we talked about that a little too early because CES, the Razer Edge came out, and this is the definitive video game tablet. This thing comes in four different versions. It touts a very impressive NVIDIA GeForce GT640, which is a very current, very competitive video game graphics card, as long with also an Intel i5, or if you want to put up an extra money, an i7 processor. And both of those are very, very powerful processors. To put all this into a tablet obviously means that this comes with a lot of horsepower, and they showed it off with some really, really impressive stuff. They were doing AAA console games such as Dishonored, Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, some the really, really impressive video games with no problems. It was no lag time. Graphics looked very, very good. I was very impressed with it. And like I said, it's got 4 different forms. That's even so. Not only is it a gaming console, but it can also be your personal PC. It can be a tablet mode as well. Like it has variability, which is also a really great push for consumers who want to get the most out of the money that they're paying for it.
Yeah, and the accessories that come with it give it some amazing abilities. There's one accessory where you can take the tablet and put it into this accessory, and basically gives you what I like to call handles on the left and right side of it, in landscape mode, where you can literally grip the handles rather than covering the tablet screen by holding it. You actually can hold onto the handles of this, and there are gaming controllers in the handles themselves. How does this work?
Yeah, so what you're talking about, Craig, that's called the mobile console mode, and what it is I'm going to assume it's a separate dock that you have to buy, that you probably have to buy for on the side. But what it does is when your tablet is, when the Razer Edge is docked into it, you now have access to, there are 2 dongles on either side of the peripheral. Each one has a analog stick. You've got a D-pad, 4 buttons. So essentially, it gives you the current it gives you a mobile version of a PS3 or Xbox 360 functionality. So you now have dual analog sticks. You have 8 buttons. So it allows for precise gaming. They showed this off with Dishonored the most because Dishonored, was a PC, PlayStation 3, 360 game, and which required very precise movements because you're sneaking, you're doing assassinations. But they showed it off, and once you get acclimated to holding it that way, it becomes. It's almost as if you're still playing with a controller.
No,
it worked off incredibly well.
Now, when you say dongle, I think I'm getting hung up on the semantic here because I think of dongle as like a USB thing, and you plug it in, and it's like a little stick, and that's called a dongle. And a handle is something that you grip onto. So are you saying that are you saying it's really a handle rather than a dongle? I mean, a dongle.
I say you're definitely right. It'd be more. These are more handles than they are, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
For anyone out there who's listening, if you've seen what the PlayStation Move looks like, which are two little things you hold in your hands.
Right.
That's essentially the same thing. It's just these are hooked onto a dock, so the tablet sits in the dock, and then you can use these two handles to play.
Exactly, and then all the controls are in the handles themselves.
Exactly, yeah.
All right. Now, since it has an accelerometer, I assume if you tilt it to the left or tilt it to the right or forward or back, what you're seeing on the display will also move?
Yes, I believe that happens most in the tablet mode, and that's just where it's just by itself.
Right, in the tablet mode, exactly.
Yes, and the Edge comes with I think it's a 10-point multi-touch interface, so you'll be able to use multiple hand gestures, multiple sliding motions, and that in tablet mode. So that works for strategy games such as either StarCraft or Civilization. But you'll be able to seamlessly use your hands as your own controller.
Oh, a 10-point mode. I mean, you can use all 10 figures, or in your case, been all 10 toes to control this thing.
You're funny. I'd actually be impressed to see that, Ben. I think.
I do keybind, but there are easier ways to do it than toes.
Okay, sorry, couldn't resist.
But I will say, just to get sidetracked here, the most keybinds I've ever done at one time were 32 keybinds at once.
Wow.
Yeah.
What were you playing?
World of Warcraft.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, I'd never use more than 6, but you got me there, Ben.
Well, for some games you don't need it, but for others it really comes in handy.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly. So it's called the Razer Edge, and again, gaming tablet with dual stick controls, 8 gigabytes of memory. You can have a Core i5 or Core i7 processor with the NVIDIA GT640 LE graphics processor running on this thing. This is going to be any kind of a mention of the price of this thing?
Actually, I believe right now its MSRP stands at actually $999. So it's that's looking like a cool $1,000.
Yeah. So, but obviously targeted for. I mean, this is for the person who really, really wants to play games on a gaming tablet. This is probably going to blow everything out of the water that's currently on the market right now.
I think it's definitely got the advantage of being the most powerful gaming tablet. So I think for people who want to play impressive video games on a tablet system, this is definitely the definitive. And the ability to have so many modes to this piece to this tablet allows the gamer to customize it to the games they want to play. So if you're a strategy person, tablet mode works. It has keyboard mode, so you can dock it into a keyboard. So this can, like Ben said, this is for MMO gamers, so World of Warcraft, Rift, so you have key bindings, so you can actually chat to people. Mobile console mode, obviously good for games like Dishonored, so you've got your precise movements. And then it's got a fourth one, which is home console mode. And that's essentially when you want to turn it into just a regular PC. When you want it to use it for everyday functions, home console mode just works like anything else. Also allows you to plug the device into bigger monitors or even your HDTV, so you can actually just shoot the video game straight up into upscale them into your big screen TV, and you can play it through controllers, other peripherals that you want to use instead.
You would do that by an HDMI interface on that, or to do?
Yes, HDMI.
HDMI. So again, now what operating system does this run?
Windows 8.
Wow.
I mean, now some might say, "Hey, it's Windows 8." Others would say, "Oh, no, it's Windows."
No, Windows 8 is perfect for this type of thing. I would think.
You're absolutely right. Windows 8 was definitely more catered to a tablet market. So, but I do know people who have some difficulty with it, and so some games might have a little bit of problem working with it.
Get over it.
Yeah, that's what you say to gamers. Get over it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
That usually soothes over all the burns.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're the game, this is designed for the tablet, and here you have an ultimate tablet Windows 8 would be ideal. And, of course, Windows 8 screens is a lot faster than even Windows 7 is. So this is just...
well, most gamers really don't mind Windows. I mean, that's what all the games are made for, and most gamers use Windows.
Yeah.
So it probably won't be that big of an issue.
I wouldn't think it would be either. Okay.
I will say, though, that Razer, when they built something, they came out with their laptop, and it had all the bells and whistles. It was, as impressive as the Razer... as impressive as the Razer Edge was. The laptop was called, of course, the Razer Blade, and they didn't pull any punches, and the price tag showed it. So, this tablet is probably going to be probably on par with the iPad, the big iPad, not the iPad Mini.
Yeah, the Blade was the laptop that had that little screen built into the keyboard. I mean, super impressive, beautiful laptop. Again, designed for gamers. So Razer certainly on the cutting edge. No pun intended with the Razer Edge.
Hey-o.
Yeah, exactly.
Their price tag shows it.
And is available when?
I believe right now it will be available. Hopefully by. I don't think they gave us a release date, but I believe they want it out by the end of the second quarter. So look between March, April. Probably a March to June window. I think they're going to be so in the spring is where they want to hope to launch.
All right. Okay. Well, there you go. So incredible products coming out at CES. We got them covered for you here on the Computer America Show. Again, if you have a comment or suggestion or a question, 347-884-8881. 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. Email live, LIVE, at computeramerica.com, or please join us in our live interactive Blog Talk Radio chat room. You have to be registered. You can come through your Facebook account if you want to type, but you can certainly see what's going on there. Okay, let's continue on with this next thing. This is another whiz-bang thing. It's even the name itself. The Oculus Rift virtual reality headset made a big splash at the Consumer Electronics Show, and this is an amazing device because it truly literally puts you in the action.
Absolutely. This and now for those who don't know, Oculus Rift started out as a Kickstarter project last year, where a company had designed a prototype for a portable virtual reality headset, and it definitely it's still in the prototype phase, but it essentially it's goggles that you put on your head, and it's hooked into a PC that you actually become part of a game. So for anyone who knows what virtual reality is like, this is essentially the same. I mean, this is what they're talking about, is a headset that puts you into it, so it turns your field of vision into the video game itself, and in your hand is a handle with with the control units that you use to maneuver in the world, but your head, as it turns, will show you the rest of the world. So if you want to look to the right, you have to turn your head, and you will see everything around you. You can even turn all the way around, and you could see behind you. It's a really, really impressive device.
Mm-hmm. So, in other words, for those of you who were jealous of the Matrix, remember that the initial opening scene where he's still being in training, and you walk by people, and they kind of and you can see them and hear them as you walk by them. You turn your head. You're going to have a very similar experience, because there's a name for that. When in the demonstration, they actually had people talking or doing things while you were walking and moving through this with this headset on, right?
Oh, absolutely. The two demos they had, one of them, what they talked about is it put them into a medieval kingdom. They were walking up to a castle, and it was a very odd feeling for them because the whole world was populated with these very, real-looking knights, maidens, like real people that were had a predetermined set of moves, so it looked like you were in the middle of a bustling town. Mm-hmm. And for these people, it was almost a very odd. They said it was so surprising and immersive that it actually started to feel very weird, because it was all of your senses, your primary ones, are telling you that this person in front of you is real, because you could circle around them. They had weight, they had size, they looked and appeared as real as it is, but your mind is still telling you, remember, this whole world is not real.
You're sitting in a chair, or you're standing up in another room. Exactly.
Yeah, it was they said it was just like the artificiality of the whole world seemed to kind of fall away. And when you're so immersed in it, when you really allow yourself to embody this character, when you get into it, they said it really has this very odd matrixy feel where you're in this world and it's not real, yet your senses are telling you that it is. It was and this is all coming from a headset device. It was really impressing a lot of people. Yeah. And remember, this is still in a prototype phase. They don't expect to be doing this commercially, at least for another several months.
Well, it started as a Kickstarter project, did it?
Yeah, it's really. I mean, Kickstarter's doing some great things for a lot of projects. It's just amazing to see that this started off, yes, as a Kickstarter-funded project where people wanted to create a new functionable virtual reality headset. They not the Virtual Boy from Nintendo way back when, and not those big artificial things you get into at theme parks and arcades.
No.
This is a very powerful portable device that I'm assuming you will plug into your PC or in the future maybe into your console, right. And it becomes part of the game. Now, and this is just another way for you to experience it.
Now the thing is, when you turn your head, you get basically a 180-degree view, so you see things peripherally, straight ahead. You can turn your head left and right as you would. But when you walking though, I understand you have something in your hand so you can move forward or move back, correct? Because you're not actually walking when you're wearing this, right?
Yeah, so I think the way they described it was you have the handle with an analog stick on it, and you can push forward and back, but the only way that you are able to actually turn is actually by using your head. So if you wanted to turn right, you would look and then register that you see right, and then you'd push forward on the hand holding device, and then you'd start to move forward. Once you started moving forward, you could turn your head back to center position, and it won't jerk you to the other way. So that was something. It's a weird process of movement that you have to get used to, and it takes a couple times to really get used to the idea of I have to turn my head to actually turn my body. And that's going to be an obstacle for developers to have to work around.
You know what they might do is they might come up with this. I don't remember this movie called. It was with I'll think of his name, but basically it was What was it? It basically was about the computing, and they had this. Michael Douglas starred in it. And it was about he was in charge of a computer development company, and it was about discrimination. I'm trying to think of it. I'll look it up during the break. But basically, they had this demonstration where they solved the walking problem. He was wearing a virtual reality headset. He was on a little treadmill, so he could walk forward or walk backwards. So he could walk forward, and the treadmill would determine how he was walking, even though he wasn't moving forward. You could walk on the little...
You know where I saw that first?
What?
I was watching horrible movies when I was about 5 years old, and it was some Japanese movie, and they were they were controlling giant robots, and they were hooked up to these treadmills and all these controls. Like they would walk around, and they would turn around, and they would do everything on the treadmill, and then the giant robot would react accordingly. Back in '95.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going that way, but for something that's virtual reality, you can see how it's very hard to make it convenient and intuitive while still, just covering up all of your senses and putting you in another world.
Disclosure was the name of the movie, by the way. Disclosure was with it, and Demi Moore was in it, Donald Sutherland, and they had this virtual reality thing where he would wear the helmet over his head or the eyepiece over, and he would walk on a treadmill, and that's and so we're getting it shows you that, and that was back in 1998 or 1999 when the movie was made, and we're seeing all the stuff coming to reality. It's coming to fruition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, listen, we're coming up to the top of the hour, so we're going to take a quick break here and then continue on. This is the Computer America Show on Blog Talk Radio Network. 347-884-8881 will get you on and get you through. We're talking to Grayson Hamilton. He is our Computer America gamer correspondent We're talking about all the exciting things that Grace saw out at the Consumer Electronics Show when it comes to the world of gaming. And we still have plenty more to talk about. Again, you can follow along with us at our website at computeramerica.com. Just go over to the archive pull-down menu and go to our show notes, the new show notes, and you can actually see the items that were, the list of things that we're talking about. Right now, we're talking about the Oculus Rift virtual reality headset, and when we come back, we'll continue on with that, and then we've got plenty more to talk about. Also, if we have time, we're going to talk about looking ahead, the big games coming up for 2013. What are some of the big titles that we're going to expect to see? Some of the additional things. So we're going to take a break, and then we'll be right back. This is the Computer America Show. Ben, I, and Grayson will be right back. Stay with us.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@ComputerAmerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we continue on with Grayson Hamilton. He is our Computer America Gamer correspondent. You can follow along with us at ComputerAmerica.com under our show notes, the selection. You can see all the things we're talking about. Right now we're focusing on the Consumer Electronics Show, just held a couple of weeks ago. We were out there at CES with the correspondents David Perry and Sandy Berger, but we focused more on some of the computing and technology devices. We're focusing on gaming, all the gaming hardware and software. We've been talking about NVIDIA was out there the big time, Razer with the Razer Edge, and we're now focusing on the Oculus Rift virtual reality headset and what that means, and how it works. It's just an amazing device. And Grayson, why don't we continue on? So you have it, you wear it, you can look left, look right, up, down, everything that you basically you see reality. And the people who were wearing this were reporting some sort of a disorientation because even though they knew it was not real, they got the feeling that it was very real, especially because of the people that are in talking to each other, or you're walking by them. You can walk around them, and you just have which is what you really want with virtual reality. You want to make it as real as possible, correct?
Yeah, I think it's something it's not really, I think, a developer problem, I don't think the developers are going to be able to solve this kind of unnerving feeling. I think it's more on a biological level, just because your senses are trying to be separated from your mind, and so the idea is you're being fed, you're being fed these images. You've got these headphones in, so it's your primary senses are devoted into this world. Yet even though it's really immersive, and you start to really feel like you're a part of the world that the game's putting you in, your mind is still telling you, by the way, none of this is real. Like, you're still sitting in a chair. There are still people around that are watching you. So you're still plugged into a PC that's feeding you the stream. So it's a very odd feeling, and it does take a little bit of getting used to, according to the people who had the hands on with it. But it's by no means like a deal breaker. And that's the thing, is this is still virtual reality. This is going to be, I don't think there's going to be a way to get around this anytime soon. And especially with virtual reality where it is right now and where the Oculus Rift wants it to go, it's a great leap towards it, but it's not going to solve that issue, at least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, this is still in development, so we're looking, at least maybe another year before we actually see this hitting dealer shelves?
They didn't. They were very quiet on a release date, and I think that's because they've been working on it for a couple years now. And this was when it went to the Kickstarter. They initially wanted $250,000, and they raised about $2.5 million. With such an increased budget, I think it opened up a lot of different ideas where they could start to expand on maybe the technology behind it. They could streamline it. They could work with. They could actually start making dev kits and sending them to video gamers, and I think that's video game companies, and I think that's something where they're probably going to strengthen before they start making this readily available. Is it VR? The VR headset's great, and even if it's near its final stages of development, the software. Where's the software behind it? If we're going to put this out there for games, there's got to be some games built for it, which means they need to go to developers. Developers need time to play with it, and then they have to create the game. So I don't foresee this coming out this year. I think it'll take some time, like all technology does.
Yeah.
But to see where they've come at this point, especially in CES, I think it's got excellent potential. I think this will become a major peripheral for the PC market in the years to come. This might be something, and I think, and Ben and I talked about this the last show, is this would be great to see Sony or Microsoft start to get into as well. I think either company should maybe start looking into this and start talking to them, saying, well, what if could we turn this into something that you could hook into our future consoles? Can we look into making games for this?
Hey, Ben, what do you think about something like this, the virtual reality headset playing World of Warcraft? Do you think that would change the experience for you?
I'm already immersed in the world. I don't need something like this. I already believe I am whatever my character's name was. Daring Do, I think. But no, I would really like to see this replace Sony's PlayStation Move, because that thing sucks. I mean, don't mincemeat about it. That from the Kinect, like the Kinect is still kind of gimmicky, but at least you can control the console with it. So and Kinect 2 is coming out, and that's going to be even more accurate. So that's some stuff going for it. The Nintendo Wii and the Nintendo Wii U, they pretty much got all their motion controls figured out. They have theirs down to a science. Sony seems to be the only one without, I don't want to say a gimmicky toy, but this virtual reality headset, if they get it less form factor, so it doesn't look like you're wearing one of those old those things that you hold up to your eyes and flip a little lever and one of those deals.
Viewmaster.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't look like a Viewmaster, you can.
Something happened. I'm not sure what.
I think we lost him.
Did we lose him? No, I think there was just...
No, something was happening over here.
Okay.
But I'll be right back.
Okay. I think he has a dog issue. I think one of the dogs is acting up. If
Sony picked it up and replaced it with their PlayStation Move, it could be it could be their Kinect. It could be their great thing that they have that other people don't. So that's why I'm hoping Sony will pick this up and run with it, and give it the proper funding it deserves, instead of just hoping, a Kickstarter campaign will be enough to get it off the ground. Because with technology like this, after Kickstarter, they've received their funding. They're not going to get any more. They have to do what they can with $2.5 million, and then put it out into the market with whatever they have, and hopefully make enough to keep developing it.
Wouldn't it be easier for developers to interface the VR headset if they already have things like the Wii? In other words, they already have the motion control. Just transfer the motion control. The biggest problem would transfer the motion control over to the headset rather than to the gaming device or whatever it is that you're using.
Yes and no. I want to say that it would be great if you could. There might be some kind of computing problem or obstacle with that, because I know with the Wii, that's a wireless it's a wireless controller, and obviously it's sent to the console where it registers all the motion controls, and hopefully this can and I'm assuming the Oculus Rift will be directly connected to your device, your PC or whatever device you're into. As like in terms of ever creating that entire that wireless feeling. I would like to see it, but then again, the idea of me holding, like, if you think of the idea of me with this wireless headset on, and I've got a Nintendo Wii controller in my hand, and I'm swinging it around like a sword, I feel like I'm going to hit something. Whether I'm going to hit a TV, I'm going to break something, and
or somebody in the room with you.
I might smack my girlfriend in the face, and then it's just terrible.
Okay.
They had a lot of problems with that with the first Wii. You know, there are pictures, or not pictures, there are videos all over YouTube of people throwing their nunchuck through their flat screen TV and just ruining both of them.
Because they didn't put the strap on.
Well, some of them did, and then the strap broke because, you know, the strap itself is, you know, some kind of cloth that probably won't break. But then you got that, it's like a little bit of thread that's connecting the strap to the controller.
Yeah.
So that has a tendency to break.
But if you're swinging it that hard, you're already doing something wrong.
Yeah.
They got caught up in the game.
You never needed to pitch that hard. You never needed to swing that hard.
Yeah.
I think they got caught up in the game.
Yes, it's still their fault. That was not like Nintendo posted disclaimers everywhere saying, for the love of God, be careful with this thing.
Yeah.
And people still screwed up televisions. That's just read the directions. That's what they're there for.
That's exactly. All right, so that's the Oculus Rift VR, headset, virtual reality headset, making a big splash out of the Consumer Electronics Show. Let's move on to the next thing that you saw out there, the XI3 Piston. Now, this is kind of a unique device, and the hopes here is to bring PCs back in a big way, but not necessarily in size. And also, the other big news about this is it's backed by Valve. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so the one thing that people have been, since Valve had said they were looking into hardware, people are saying, oh, it looks like Valve's going to create their own PC. It's going to streamline with their Steam accounts, and it's going to work on the HD, console. So people are starting to wonder, I think Valve was going to create what people are starting to call Steambox, just a PC developed by Valve. At the CES show, the company XI3 has been around for a while, and this idea was they wanted to bring the idea of a moddable PC that's a lot simpler for people to work with. The problem, one of the bigger problems, and it's one that Valve has been trying to get past, is PC gaming has always suffered from the amount of horsepower, the graphics required to play these games is always on the more expensive side. Like, you always have to have a high performing PC to run these types of games, and to that extent they're right. If you want to play a game like Dishonored or Far Cry 3, we keep using those as examples, or Halo 4, if you want to play those on PC, you got to have a powerful graphics card. You got to have a great processor, and those are not cheap. So keeping your PC up and up to date with the most advanced gaming technology is definitely an investment. And Gabe Newell has always been trying to, his philosophy is to get these games into the most hands possible using the most affordable means possible. And that's kind of one of the reasons Steam became huge. Was it was a great digital distribution software. Then they came out with the Big Picture, which puts PC gaming onto your HD TV. Now the Steam box, this XI3 Piston, which if you see pictures of, you take a look at these on the web, they fit in the palm of your hand. They're slightly larger than a Rubik's Cube, but that's it. We've now reduced a PC tower like mine, which is takes two hands to carry, about 15 pounds total. We have now reduced that into something you can literally put in your bag and take with you.
Wow.
Which is, number one, is incredible. Now, people think, well, you've reduced size. You've now made it infinitely more complicated to customize, to mod. Also not the case. They solved that because it only works off about 5 to 6 parts. And not only that, but these parts are almost like chipsets that you can literally take in and out by hand. It's incredible because you don't need a screwdriver. You don't need an engineering degree, and you don't even need to be afraid that you're going to break it. Like, it's just almost like a Lego where you just take it out and say, oh, I got the new, I got a new processor. So I take the old one out, pop the new one in, and it's good to go.
Wow.
It's incredible that they've come to a point where they're making it really, really simple, yet still keep that customizable portion, for people who get into, the minutia of, the big the big gamers out there, of course, they want to buy the most expensive stuff. You could still do that with this. But for the casual people, if you want to play PC games, but you're not like that into it, this is a perfect middle ground, and it makes it incredibly more affordable. That's the other big part, is it takes the idea of bigger games. You can now play those bigger games. They are going to look great, and it keeps it simple. So people who don't have all the know-how of how to build a machine can still actually create their own customizable piston. Really, really great stuff.
Ben, I know you have a very complex gaming desktop, your Origin PC that was put together for you. That I know you're very happy.
It's really complicated. It's awesome, and it runs games awesomely. It's pretty straightforward.
Now, so would this Xi3 piston compete with that kind of a system?
Mine probably not, but for the game, really the hardware just has to live up to running the software at a reasonable frame rate, and not have lag. Like that's all it takes, and that really isn't that hard. You can go over the top. You can spend $2,000 on a system, but you don't have to anymore, especially with settings and all the customizability you can do. The piston, I'm sure it can run all those games perfectly well. So why would you need a bigger system if you can run it on something so small?
So this appeals to you.
Yeah. Anything that gets computer gaming more into the spotlight, because everyone's been saying for such a long time, mobile gaming is the way of the future. PCs are out, consoles are slowly fading away, and cell phones and smartphones and mobile gaming are the way it goes. If this can bring back PC gaming, I'm all for it.
Now, who makes the Xi3 piston? I mean, who's this being made by?
I just had it a second ago. It's a partnership between Valve and the hardware. The hardware maker is Xi3.
Okay,
that's the company's name.
All right.
And what I was going to say earlier, because I had it up here, is these things don't. And it's for people who are still like, well, this doesn't sound like you can put a lot of things in here. The one that they had at the demo, not only had a USB 3.0 attached to it, had a quad core AMD processor on it, had 8 gigabytes of RAM, and 1 terabyte storage. So that's almost all of that is actually more impressive than my machine. My PC doesn't even come up to standards with this, and this thing still fits in the palm of your hand.
I'm looking at the picture of it here. It does. It fits in the palm of your hand. It's a beautiful little black, almost curved cube, I guess. And they show it taking it out, and you can see all the parts to it. But this basically is a full blown computer PC.
It's touted, and it's got competitive processing, great graphics. I like. An excellent amount of RAM. This thing, it's like I said, it's a tiny little powerhouse, but it's still a powerhouse, and this makes PC gaming not only very affordable, but very comfortable for people, who don't want to spend all that premium, but still enjoy PC gaming. I mean, because I know a lot of people who have played first-person shooters on PCs know that's the epitome. It's you can never have as much accuracy in a first-person shooter as you do when you play it on PC. So that makes it more incentive to say, if you want to play Black Ops 2 and you want that incredible accuracy, you can play it on this baby. If it ever gets on Steam.
It is amazing. A little tiny device like this. They show it with a looks like an Xbox controller hooked into it, but again, basically just replaces that huge big desktop in this little tiny cube, and makes it easy to configure the way that you want to. Just amazing stuff.
Absolutely. Now, and as of now, we're not Xi3 and Valve were very quiet on final specifications, because obviously it's not they're not ready to release it yet, so they didn't give us a date. So there's definitely going to be I think there's going to be more to it once the final product releases, because I know Valve probably wants to do something very special with it. Because Valve, they always have a very hidden agenda. That's just been their way. So whatever else they have in store for the piston, we'll find out, I'm sure, later on. So there's still more to come with this device. I think CES was the perfect time to show people and remind the industry to say, PC gaming is not dead.
No,
not by any means, not by any stretch.
Right. No pricing. It's way too early to talk about that.
I think as of right now, they're one of the older models of the Xi3. I think it has a different name. The entry level, it's called the X5A, which runs a Linux operating system. The price point for that actually is $499.
Wow.
$500.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is much, I think, more affordable than it takes to build a custom PC.
Yeah. No.
$500 custom PC, I don't think would be anywhere as impressive as the Piston. And so that's a great incentive right there.
And the Piston's going to run Windows as well?
I do not know. It would be smart for them to, but I know Valve's big on Linux, so that might be that might come later, or you might be able to get a different model of the Xi3 that runs Windows. But as of now, all of their prototype models were running Linux at the time.
Okay. All right. What do you think that says about Linux?
Ben, you've probably had more experience with Linux than I do. I will say that my experience with the Linux operating system has always been very limited. So I understand that Linux can be powerful in the right hands, with people who know what they're doing with computers, especially with coding. That's not me. So if that were to be a case, and it's not to say I won't buy one because it's running on Linux. I'll get to learn it. I've heard it's a very simple system.
Yeah, so, it all depends on which distribution you get. There are certain types of Linux that if you sat down a person who's used nothing but Windows XP for his entire life, they would be able to pick it up instantly. Linux is as simple as whoever makes it, makes it.
There are many different types of distributions. There's Ubuntu, there's Mint, and all these.
There are a couple hundred, different names for many different kinds, right. But there are also distributions for, the very, very user friendly. There's distributions for managing servers, and then there's distributions, that range from anything you can ever do with technology, and I guess they're using one that can just interface with the hardware, get it running, as well as it can, and then a very simple operating system, all rolled into a small package, which Linux excels at. So it's good that it runs on Linux. And it's also good that it's open source, so that we say it's customizable, but with the Linux operating system, it'll be infinitely more customizable than it would have been if it was Windows or Apple. So Linux is definitely a good thing. Do not be afraid of it. You'll be able to use it.
There you go. I know Ben's brother uses it. Aaron, and does it very, very well.
It's reassuring to me.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I think that covers most of the gaming hardware that we were able to see out of the Consumer Electronics Show, but one of the things that we wanted to talk about is TVs. And, boy, there were more TVs out there that you could shake a stick at. And obviously the big thing last year was the 3D TVs, and now they have Sandy Berger reported on a 3D TV that without glasses that was which was very interesting to see. It was an amazing experience. But the next thing, we're seeing now, in addition to size, is and the technology such as OLED is the resolution. And I know there were 4K resolution TVs out there. They had OLED, they had 70-inch, 4K, and they even had an 8K resolution screen. And I'm going, for what? I mean, there's nothing out there that you can get that kind of resolution off the air. Not even Blu-ray. None of that has that kind of resolution. Granted, they upscale a little bit, but why do you want to spend that kind of money for that kind of resolution when there's really nothing out there that will display it? What's going on?
It's first of all, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy we're getting off the 3D TV. I think a lot of makers have seen it's 3D is not catching on. Now the thing, now it's 4K. So 4K is the new. I guess we'll say that's the new thing this year is 4K. So we thought, at least I thought, that 1080p was it. Like it's not from a technological standpoint. I thought 1080p was a biological point. Like at that point, the human eye cannot distinguish more resolution than 1080p. So I was happy with that. 1080p looks gorgeous. Well, apparently I was wrong, and there's a lot more. And so 4K boasts. I cannot tell you for certain, but something around like almost 3 times as many pixels as a 1080p TV, which apparently makes things look not just gorgeous, but almost unreal. It has that window effect now where the the frames per second are so fluid now that you honestly can't even see that it's a television. It looks like you're seeing it through a window.
Right. There's no motion blur. Basically, it's like not watching a movie, but it's like when you're watching a live newscast. You're watching a live production on the TV. You can always tell when you're watching a live newscast.
That's frame rate, though. That isn't resolution.
But you're seeing the live, and it has this real quality. So when you try to watch a movie in this real resolution,
again, that's frame rate. That's not resolution. Resolution just means you can, the closer you go to the screen, the less pixels you're going to see.
Yeah, but you get this ultra reality image feel to it, and it's almost an unreal kind of feeling. You say, this can't be a movie. It looks too real. But there it is, I actually had an experience like that where I was watching T2, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and this high resolution and also the high frame rate, and it was like it was
like Schwarzenegger was coming out at you.
You didn't have that grainy feeling where anything can happen movie. It was like, oh, this is live acting. There can't be any special effects happening here because it's all live. Yet it did. So very, very bizarre.
It is, and now here's the question for me, because this kind of stuff, 4K right now, is incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, a low end, what is it? One of the lower end is a 55-inch from LG, and that runs $12,000.
Right.
Yeah. You can get ones from Sony up in the 70-inch range. You're talking $25,000. That's a car.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much this kind of, I mean, sure, it makes everything look beautiful.
That solves everything.
Yeah, it's like it makes everything look beautiful, but $25,000 who in the world would want to spend that kind of money? And yes, I know there are millionaires out there who can spend that kind of money, but from a gaming standpoint, like, sure, it would look gorgeous. Any Gears of War game, Halo, or Dishonored and Zelda, everything would look gorgeous on it, but that is not worth the price. And the thing is 1080p still looks gorgeous. I don't see, honestly, why we need to go further than that. But obviously, Samsung and LG have their own agenda going here.
I think that right now it's prohibitively expensive, but wait for about 4 or 5 years. When flat screen and plasma screens first came out, everyone said, "Oh, they're so expensive. Why would you ever buy that? You can get a nice big box TV for a quarter of the price." And look at us now. You can't even buy big box TVs. You can only buy flat screens.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same way 4 or 5 years down the road. Everything's going to be 4K, or about everything's going to be 4K. Right now, it's for the people who if you have to ask, you can't afford it. Those kind of people are going to have the nice big 4K TVs, and then wait about 3 or 4 years, and then more and more people are going to have them.
Yeah, and the 8K resolution, I don't know if that was just that one,
I think whoever made it just said, "Hey, look what we can do." We're never going to produce it.
Yeah, I think we're going to get. That was just a laboratory exercise. I think 4K resolution will be the ultimate. I don't think we're going to go to 8K. I mean, because
we will. If technology does not say we've done it, mission accomplished, go home, technology keeps moving forward.
Yeah, but there's going to be a threshold where it doesn't make any sense anymore, to take it.
Say that now, but there will always be improvements. Always.
Yeah. Grayson, you think you?
Yeah, and the thing is Sony is already on this technology, which means you know that the PS4 is gonna tout this sort of thing. This is gonna be one of their big selling points. Is not just Blu-ray. I think it's still going to be a Blu-ray drive, but they're going to be touting like, well, we can do 4K with your video games. Microsoft can't even touch how gorgeous your games are going to look, and that's fair. I certainly understand. That's a great way to market the next generation. But like Ben said, even if the PS4 does come out in 2013 or even 2014, these kind of TVs are still going to be too expensive, at least for the foreseeable future. And they'll get smaller, they'll get cheaper, as the technology becomes available. But I just don't see this sort of thing being utilized on a mass scale for at least a couple years.
Yeah.
But Craig, I'm sorry, you have to take it out.
Okay. Well, we're gonna be right back. We're at the bottom of the hour break. I think we're having a dog crisis. So this is the Computer America Show on Blog Talk Radio Network. 347-884-8881. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Help! I've fallen and I can't get up. If you have an elderly loved one, please listen. Whether it's fire danger, a serious fall, or other type of home emergency, Life Alert is there for you. The company with the slogan, Help, I've Fallen and I Can't Get Up, protects 100,000 members.
The first time I fell in that bedroom and I couldn't reach the phone.
When you have a heart attack like I did and there's no one there, Life Alert was there for me.
Having a secure feeling through Life Alert is ideal.
My independence is possible because of it.
Listen to former U.S. Surgeon General Dr. C. Everett Koop.
Thanks to Life Alert, you can live alone without ever being alone. That's why I wear one.
With Life Alert protection, elderly people can often postpone going to a retirement home for several years. For a free brochure about Life Alert service, call now. 1-800-913-9494. 1-800-913-9494. Call Life Alert now for your free brochure. 1-800-913-9494.
When you go online, you need protection. Your data, your identity, passwords, bank accounts, literally everything can be stolen and your computer's data wiped out. That's why you need total security from G-Data. With its double scan technology, you literally get 2 antivirus scanning engines running at the same time. Offering low-profile antivirus monitoring, G-Data gives you faster system and application starts, hourly signature updates, the fastest scanning times, and absolutely the fastest response time to new viruses. G-Data's idle scan only scans when your computer is idle. In fact, G-Data has the most up-to-date recognition methods for unknown viruses. Go to the G-Data website and check out the G-Data security products free for 30 days. Go to gdata-software.com. That's gdata-software.com. Enter in the code CROSSMAN and get 50% off the purchase price. 50%. Simple, secure. It's total security from G-Data Software.
Hello, Computer America. This is Patricia Reichel with your London Minute. My New Year's resolution is to be more open-minded about Windows 8. I'll try my best to embrace the feeling that I have 2 operating systems for the price of 1. The live start screen that Microsoft is so proud of, and the static desktop. The reaction I hear about Windows 8 is now so predictable. For every person I meet who loves it, I meet another who's bothered by it. But I'm now focusing on Windows 8 afresh. The author, Michael Miller, kindly sent me 2 of his Windows 8 books, Easy Computer Basics and Computer Basics. Both have enlightened me. Shh. My other secret is I've installed a start button for the desktop with the help of Classic Shell. It's free software. So, with my book and my new start button, I can now enjoy Windows 8. I can rehearse my shortcuts like Windows key plus C opens the Charms bar. Windows key plus D opens the desktop. It's all coming together now. You can find me on Twitter at ComputerTweety. This is Patricia Reichel for Computer America.
Thanks so much, Patricia, and welcome back to the Computer America Show. Just quickly mention that our show reminder of the week, we picked up on Friday, yesterday, Charles Fallon, who wins a Logitech wireless touchpad valued at $50. Congratulations to you, Charles. Here's what you need to do. Computer America, we have so many great contests. Just head over to our website at computeramerica.com. Go to the first pull-down menu, the Home, Listen, and Interact, and go to our contest page, right? And you'll see all the great contests we have. They're all different. They all have different things that to enter, and we try to give you as much variety as we can. The show reminder winner, when you register, you get our weekly. You also subscribe to our weekly email newsletter, the show reminder. It's the only publication in the universe where you can get the entire lineup of the week for Computer America is there. And also every Friday from that list of names, you draw a winning name to win a really nice prize from Logitech. And we also have a Logitech contest where we have 3 prizes we're giving away. You just send us an email to contest@computeramerica.com with your full name, shipping address, and phone number in that email. You can see the 3 great prizes. We got the Logitech HD webcam C310. That's our third place prize, valued at $50. The second place prize is the Laser Mouse G9X, made for Call of Duty, valued at $100 for that mouse. It has its own onboard memory, very cool. And then the grand prize is the Logitech UE 600 noise isolating earphones, about $120. You can see all of them. You can link to it. It's a great contest. The next contest we have is a Facebook contest. Every Wednesday we draw a winning name, and all you have to do is go to our Facebook page and like it. It's right there. We have the link for you right there, or you can go to facebook.com/computeramerica. All you have to do is like it, and you're in forever. Every Wednesday we draw a winning name. And that we're giving away right now a copy of G-Data's Total Security 2013 with a full year subscription. That's the prize there. And then also our newest contest, the Twitter contest. We have our Computer America Twitter contest, and that works on every Thursday. So at 12:01 a.m. on Thursday morning to 11:30 at that night, 23 and a half hours. All you have to do is send us a tweet to @ComputerAmerica. That's all you have to do. You can put anything you want in the tweet. And when you do, you're registered, and then we pull a winning name on Thursday night at about 11:30. And we're giving away a Text Buster. This is a $179 product. It works in any car. It prevents the driver from texting or from reading emails. Their phone will work, but you just can't get emails or texting until you get out of the car, turn the engine off, and then all your texts and emails, you can read them. It gets blocked until you get out of the car because texting while driving is probably one of the most dangerous things you can do. And that sells for $179. And then in addition to that, it has other security features. It has a monitor feature so you can track where the people are going. It also has a tracking feature so you can track people, know where the car is at any given moment in real time. It's just an amazing device. And we're giving one of those away every Thursday for a Twitter contest. Enter all of our contests at ComputerAmerica.com. All of them are completely free, no obligation, and they're completely private. We give your contact information out to no one. We don't sell the list. We don't do any of that. We just we keep it completely private. The only time we'll give out your contact information is if you are a winner. And then we will give them, the company that is giving away the prize, your contact information so they can mail you your prize. That's it. Okay? And then it's completely free and completely private. So head over to ComputerAmerica.com and enter in all of our contests. You'll be glad you did, and who knows, you might win something really nice. Grayson Hamilton is here with us. We were finishing up our CES coverage here. We were talking about TVs, and I think that will give us maybe this last half hour we can talk about looking ahead and some of the big games that we're going to expect to see for 2013. What do you think?
I think it looks to be another stellar year for gamers out there. 2013 has got some pretty impressive titles, and I think a lot of people, there's a little bit for everybody. There's if you want an adventure game, that's going to be coming out. If you want if you want more of a mystery, a drama game, there's going to be something great. Mm-hmm. You've got standard action, you've got science fiction, first-person shooters. There's a little bit for everybody, and each one of these, the videos, the trailers they've already put out. There's multiplayer betas, so there's a little bit of all of these games out. So if you want, you can taste them, try them out, see what you think, and if you're excited for it, excellent. And but if you don't, if you want a little bit more information, these games are widely available. There's a lot of info on all of them, so feel free to look them up.
Okay.
But yeah, so what it looks like for 2013 is, it's all about the month of March. There are a bunch of these games are coming out right at March, so spring break will be a welcome week for for a lot of the video gamers who are getting off school for a week, because you're going to need the time to get through all these games. Mm-hmm. First off, Irrational Games is doing their spiritual sequel to their big game back in I want to say it was 2007, BioShock. They're doing a spiritual successor called BioShock Infinite. Now, for those of you who remember, BioShock was an excellent game that took place. It was a first-person shooter that took place in a city that was underwater, and had a fantastic story. Ben, I remember you giving a lot of praise about it too. I loved BioShock.
Yeah, the first one was great.
Yes. So this new sequel, BioShock Infinite, actually takes place in the city of Columbia, which is built in the sky. And it's got actually a very different feel to it. With the tones are a lot different in this game, and that's good. Ken Levine, who's been the main writer for BioShock and for BioShock Infinite, he wants to tell self-contained stories, and he wants to make sure that you're keeping the themes the same, but you're not just rehashing yourself. And I think that's what he wanted to do. Is BioShock was great, but he didn't want to just do a sequel to BioShock where it takes place in the city underwater. He wanted to recapture the essence of what made BioShock great, but to create a new tale. And that's what's really made BioShock Infinite really impressive, especially because it's not underwater; it's in the sky now. So the sky's the limit. It would be a good a good way to put it.
Yeah. Same characters or different characters?
Different characters. It's different characters, different villain. I believe it's also a different combat system. Now, it's still a first-person shooter, but what I mean by that is I know originally in the first BioShock it was the use of Atom. And it was this substance that you could use that would give you special powers. And while there are still powers in this game, I think they come from different means. So it still contains a sci-fi element. I think they're just going to tell it a different way.
All right.
Is this one going steampunk? Is BioShock Infinite going steampunk or is it still natural?
It might have a steampunk feel, but I can't speak if they're actually going full steampunk, so to speak. That'd be a cool video game, though. I would say that.
Yeah, and I think they probably will, just because flying and steampunk go so well together, especially Zeppelins, blimps. So I'm thinking they probably will. That's my prediction.
Okay, all right. So BioShock Infinite, that coming out in March. What else is coming out in March? Tomb Raider.
Yes. Now we've spoken about Tomb Raider a lot last year.
Yes.
But this is a reboot. This is a reboot game. So
it's not an Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider.
No longer the Angelina Jolie. Thank God, because sorry to say, that Lara Croft needed to die a long time ago. But Crystal Dynamics is the developer behind it, and we haven't seen a lot of Tomb Raider for several years, actually, and that's mainly because they just couldn't keep redoing it because Tomb Raider was losing popularity. It just wasn't garnering the praise that it once did way back on the PlayStation 1 days. And so Crystal Dynamics went back to the drawing board, scrapped everything, and decided, you know what, we need to revamp her. We need to get her more in line with values that people will stand with today, and that included, it's a physical remake. So sorry for all the gamers out there, no more big boobs; those are gone. And it's a very hardcore version. They're taking Tomb Raider into a darker territory. Lara Croft is no longer the jumping around, very think on her feet, suave shooter that she was in the other games. She is about 19, 20 years old in this. She's trying to seek out to make her name, outside of her parents' legacy, and she gets shipwrecked on an island, and it is literally a fight for survival. She gets beaten up. She's going to get stabbed. She's going to have to craft her own weapons. It's definitely a visceral experience that she will be fighting for her life, at sometimes literally. So it's taking it to a serious territory, and I think, and in a way, this is how they want to show how she went from being someone frail and gentle into becoming Tomb Raider. And that's going to be an excellent journey. I think it's going to be it's shaping up already into an excellent game. So I'm really looking forward to playing Tomb Raider.
All right, good enough. This sounds like good praise. Grand Theft Auto 5, GTA 5. What's this?
Well, we know Rockstar. We know how they love Grand Theft Auto. So, but what makes it Grand Theft Auto, I think, really interesting this time around is, all the Grand Theft Autos usually have a single protagonist. Grand Theft Auto has 3 this time around. You'll be telling 3 different stories, all taking place in a new city. So Grand Theft Auto, or Rockstar, has always been big about creating, vast urban landscapes. So it's a great sandbox game. And as as all GTA fans know, there's going to be plenty of ways to destroy cars and cause havoc and just rocket launch. Basically, they can create their own Michael Bay movie in Grand Theft Auto. I personally, I've never been too keen on the Grand Theft Auto games, but what does need to be said is Rockstar takes care of that series. They spend years working on this game. They put a lot of effort into it, and that's why Grand Theft Auto, since 3 and San Andreas and Vice City, they've shown that they are committed to creating very impressive sandbox games, and they do tell interesting narratives. So this is something I'm even for someone like me who hasn't been a fan of Grand Theft Auto, I'm still definitely intrigued. And I think any person out there who's a fan of the game or a fan of the series is going to love Grand Theft Auto 5. And for anyone who's looking for a great sandbox game, I don't think you're going to find something better than this. And they haven't put a date on it, but they're shooting for spring. My guess is this is going to be a big summer blockbuster. Unless it gets delayed, which can happen.
Okay. All right, well, moving back to March, Gears of War, Judgment.
Yes, so all you Gears of War fans out there, Gears of War is coming back. Now, this is not, as I have been told, this is not part of the Gears of War trilogy that found its climax at the end of the third one. This is telling a new tale. So it's got a different set of I think it's got a new protagonist. It's got a female in there too, as I recall. And but it's the same very intense third-person shooting that Gears of War is known for. Gears of War has always been big on the tactical shooter. The use of cover, trying to flank your enemies. And they did, and Epic Games did that very well with all 3 Gears of Wars. They brought in another studio called People Can Fly. People Can Fly did Bulletstorm actually in 2010, which was a hysterical game to play. I enjoyed it. But they brought them in also, so they're co-developing it, which is great because they've got I'm sure they've got their own creativity that they wanted to put into Gears of War Judgment. But for the people out there who are fans, this is it's going to be another great tactical shooter, and I think it's going to make its own imprint in March. I think it's going to turn some heads.
All right, let's continue to go down the list. Watch Dogs from Ubisoft.
Watch Dogs. Now, Watch Dogs stole the show at E3 last year. No one had heard about it, and they showed off a 10-minute demo, and it was incredible. It's not much has been shown, or we've heard about it since, but the idea behind it is this appears to be it could be a sandbox game. I think it's actually more of an action game, but the protagonist appears to have a device. It's based around this ability that he can interrupt all types of technology. And in the demo that he showed off, he was able to block out everyone's cell phones. All these people standing in a line trying to get an art show, he shorted out all their cell phones. He's able to turn off traffic lights, so he caused a traffic accident to divert attention away from him. He's able to get through computerized locks. He's able to hack computers wirelessly, all through this device. So I think it's this idea of being able to manipulate technology while doing some perhaps covert operations. It showed. I mean, it was also very, very visually beautiful. I think we will learn more about it in the next couple months. No date has been set. I believe they're looking for a early fall. So this may be something over in the October-November. Definitely it'll be a great game to put out for the Christmas season. So keep your eye on this. And if you want more info, take some look at the demo, the screenshots. Look up Watch Dogs. I highly recommend it.
Okay. And again, he made this little device that gets through all this technology.
They haven't said yet. We just know there is a device, and I'm sure that we'll find out during the game where it came from. Okay,
we'll have to check that out. All right, moving to our next big games for 2013, God of War Ascension.
So we knew Kratos, like I said, this is, Kratos and God of War 3 was the end of that trilogy, but, Sony loves their Kratos and God of War, so it was natural that we knew inevitably there was going to be another God of War game. This is actually a prequel, so this could turn into a prequel trilogy. You're a Star Wars version, if you will. It's done by the same people, Sony Computer Entertainment in Santa Monica. We've been working on God of War for a while. This is a prequel, and what makes it interesting is it's not only the same kind of violence and brutality that Kratos is known for, that the God of War series is known for, but there's also going to be a multiplayer in this now, and that's been the bigger. God of War has always been a single player campaign experience. So this would be the first time that you'll be able to take on missions with friends, and actually there might even be some competitive in there. You might be able to fight against each other. So that's one of their bigger pulls is the ability to play with other people in a God of War game. So not only is it going to be brutal, but you can be brutal with your friends.
Okay. All right. The next one is The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm. The Last of Us, done by Naughty Dog Studios. They did the Uncharted series for the PlayStation. Excellent games. Very, very well done. The Last of Us is a new game that they've been working on for a couple years now. It's been announced for a while, and this is one of those survival horror games. Basically, it's the idea that it's not just a zombie apocalypse, but it's a real virus that exists in this world based on the idea. I think it's called polyceps, and it's a fungus that takes over the host, killing the host and spreading more of itself into other organisms. And the idea is that this virus has mutated itself to humans and wiped out most of the planet. And so you have an older middle-aged male character it's him and a small 12-year-old girl surviving in a abandoned city. What city that is, we don't know if it's going to be a real city or fictional. But look at it; it's as if like Los Angeles was taken over by Mother Nature again.
Yeah.
With mutated creatures running around, and it's these two trying to survive.
That kind of premise appeals more to me than government experiment gone awry or Martians coming to land and take us over. The polyceps, they're actually real. They're more targeted towards ants and insects. Where the fungus will actually take over the ant and will kind of spread itself around and kill the ant in the process. So this actually happens, just not the humans. So the concept of this game is much more appealing to me personally.
Absolutely, I definitely agree with you. And the emphasis on this won't be about these. We'll call them zombies for now, but it's they're not. But it's not about these creatures. It's strictly about these two characters struggling to survive. And they're not the only two humans out there. They do encounter uninfected people, so naturally there's going to be a lot of tension between both the creatures and the humans, and and these two characters trying to either get home or trying to find a safe place. So I think it's gonna be a great game. This one's coming out in May, as they've announced. So this will be a good way to start off your summer.
Right in time with was it World War Z with Brad Pitt, that new zombie movie coming out. Have you seen the rushes for that and the previews for that?
I have. I'm reserving judgment until I see it.
Okay, there you go. All right. Okay, I guess it was inevitable. South Park, the stick of truth.
I can't tell you how excited I am for South Park.
The hot pocket of the video game world.
Now, just for everyone out there, I understand it's like when you hear about the idea of South Park, they're like, oh God, it's going to be an awful, TV tie-in. Not the case. First of all, the game was written by the South Park creators, Trey Parker and Matt Stone. They had their hands on this. They've been working on this alongside the developer, Obsidian Entertainment. Very, very good. Obsidian's always done quality work. Mm-hmm. But Matt and Trey have been involved with this since the beginning. So I definitely can attest that anyone who's a fan of South Park, that the writing's going to be top notch. The characters are going to be in this. It's going to have the feel and the quality that South Park is known for. These guys are, I still say they are comedy geniuses. Mm-hmm. they may be a little crude, and they have their own weird way of looking at the world, but they still make me laugh. South Park makes me laugh. I know this is going to be a great game. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is an RPG game, which makes it even more insane, is that you will create a character, you're going to gain levels, they're playing pretend, so you're going to be a wizard or there's a warrior and stuff like that, but it's a very tongue-in-cheek RPG, but I think it's still going to be a very quality RPG. Trey and Matt both have been gamers growing up. They enjoy RPGs. They know how to work them, and Obsidian knows how to do RPGs. They've been big on those long-time games for a while. So I'm looking forward to this, not just for the humor, but I think this is going to surprise a lot of people.
One of my favorite South Park still is the one they did on World of Warcraft. So there you go. So.
And that was an excellent episode too.
Yeah, it was one of the best episodes they've ever done. But South Park, in the show itself and probably in the game, they're gonna have visually it's gonna be pretty good. The gameplay is gonna be very well, and and the story's gonna be good. And then of course there's probably going to be that South Park tie-in where they kind of the whole game kind of takes a step back and you look at it and it's just two kids with sticks going pew 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 at each other and and you're like, oh yeah, that's right, this is all make believe, and then you jump back into it and it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah, the stick of truth, exactly. All right, we're almost running out of time. We got two more games to cover for the big games for 2013. Beyond Two Souls from Quantic Dream.
Yes, Beyond Quantic Dream, as we all know, were the people behind Heavy Rain, which was it was a crime type game. So you're playing a detective, but Quantic Dream was very big on the idea of creating this real. It was an incredibly gorgeous looking game, but it was all real. Like there wasn't any special powers. There wasn't anything. It was very grounded in reality, and it had this awesome system of being able to choose. Like it had so many different endings and so many different decisions that had to be made on the fly. So it was a very interesting game. Now Beyond Two Souls has a more of a supernatural element to it, and what's made it even more impressive is they did a lot of performance capture for this. Excellent actress Ellen Page. A lot of people know her from Inception, where she played Ariadne.
Oh yes. Uh-huh.
She did the performance capture for the protagonist in this game, and it appears that I don't want to say she's a schizophrenic character, but she apparently has two identities. There's apparently a darker form to her that she has to control and that she's trying to figure out how to deal with. So it does, and apparently when that darker form comes out, people get hurt. She's been and she's an excellent actress, and she lent herself, she committed to this role. And as we've seen with performance capture, when it's done correctly, when you really get into it, they're still just as amazing as real acting. And so I think that's going to lend itself to the cinematic quality of Beyond Two Souls. And Quantic Dream, they tell excellent stories, and they know their stuff. So this will be, I think it's going to be an excellent title. No date announced for it yet, so sometime this year, probably at the end of it, we'll see it.
All right. And then the last one that we can talk about is Remember Me from Don't Nod Entertainment.
Remember Me is an interesting title just because of its there's not much known about it, but the premise for it is you play an amnesiac memory hunter. Character apparently has no memory, but she can find it by going to these different areas. Like memories are actually stored in these cores that she has to find to remember her past, so that she knows what became of her, how she ended up being this kind of person. And it's a sci-fi game, takes place in Paris in the year 2084. So it's got a great sci-fi feel to it. It's a single player game. It's got a third person feel to it. So this is going to be one of your run of the mill action games. So for those out there who are looking for just a new science fiction game, I think this will be a good place to look at. And as of now, it's
yeah, exactly. I'll tell you, we're just about out of time, Gray, and I want to thank you so much. There it is, big games for 2013, and our coverage of CES with games. Gray, I want to thank you so much for being with us here today. It was a lot of fun, and we look forward to having you next month when we come back doing more computer games.
It is always a pleasure. Ben, Craig, thanks again for having me.
All right. Stay with us to the end. That about wraps it up here on Computer America. Next month, we will be back with more. It'll be actually February the 2nd. Have more computer fun and talk and gadgets, and just make sure that you're here. So until next time, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. Ben and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
What's a floppy?
The opinions you hear are those of the host, callers, and guests, and not necessarily those of this station, its management, or advertisers. The information does not constitute a recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or securities. Investing involves risks, so please consult a professional before investing.